I'm Peter North, Outreach Specialist at the Library of Virginia, and I'm here in the gallery where our exhibition, Mapping the Commonwealth, 1816 to 1826, is on display until June 7th, 2025. This is the original copper plate engraved by Henry S. Tanner and Company to print the map of Virginia surveyed by John Wood and Herman Boyer in 1826. This same copper plate was revised and re-engraved in 1859 to produce revisions to the map by Ludwig von Buchholz. Virginia had grown substantially in the 3 decades after Wood and Boyer had their map published, and the General Assembly commissioned the Board of Public Works to carry out revisions in 1849. This project would take 10 years, and the results would play a significant role in shaping map making in Virginia during the Civil War. The Virginia Board of Public Works began the project under the direction of Claudius Crozet. Crozet was a French former artillery officer who had served under Napoleon, and he was principal engineer of the board. He hired 2 emigrant Hungarian army captains by the names of Anthony Canalassi and William J. Weiss to assist him. Crozet also worked with officers of the United States Coast Survey on proper latitude and longitude measurements, and with famous Virginia civil engineer Andrew Talcott on certain astronomical observations. Canalassi would die in 1852, and he was replaced by a German artillery and ordnance officer by the name of Ludwig von Buchholz. Buchholz oversaw the completion of the project and added his revisions to the original copper plates. The revised map was published in 1859 in the same 9-sheet and reduced 4-sheet formats as the Wood-Boyer map of 1826. The revised map's most glaring flaw was its use of the original copper plates, which limited its accuracy. This had been done at the insistence of the General Assembly for cost-saving purposes. Additional engraving was added to the copper plate, including the area below the title where it says, "Corrected by order of the Executive by L.V. Buchholz, 1859. The text on Virginia's geology also remained unchanged, despite the state having carried out its first geological survey from 1835 to 1842. These lackluster revisions would become a major problem in just a couple of years after it was published. Prior to the Civil War, then U.S. Secretary of War Jefferson Davis had focused the U.S. Army's mapping program on the territories in the West, with an emphasis on routes for the future transcontinental railroad. Since all resources had been focused on the West, and that military planners couldn't imagine that the country would be tearing itself apart in the near future, there were no major military surveys of the United States that could have been of use to either side in the Civil War. In a truly ironic twist, both sides would stumble around not knowing where they were in their own country. Given all these drawbacks with the map, one Union officer had a copy of the reduced 4-sheet version, wrote that it was, quote, "the best for military purposes of any map available in the Federal Army." However, the failure of the Buchholz map spurred significant cartographic innovation and development during the war. The employment of observation balloons by both sides was one of the significant technological leaps that was used to overcome the map's deficiencies. Another technological leap came in the form of photographic printing to copy maps. The Confederate Topographical Department, run by Albert H. Campbell and Chief Engineer Jeremy F. Gilmer, began experimenting in 1864 with exposing copies of maps to sun printing on sharp negatives. This process allowed for faster copying and production of maps as it replaced the time-consuming process of copying maps by hand. Apart from the technological advancements taking place in Virginia during the war, its role as the main theater of combat would make it one of the most mapped places in the country. Ultimately, while Ludwig von Buchholz and his team, thanks to the General Assembly, failed to produce an accurate and useful map of the Commonwealth, this failure did change cartography during the Civil War, shaping both Virginia's and the nation's history. I hope you'll visit the Library of Virginia to see Mapping the Commonwealth before it closes on June 7th, 2025. If you're interested in finding out more, please check out our website, edu.lva.virginia.gov. Thank you.